Three Rivers.
In addition to televising our newscast from the stadium on its inaugural night, KDKA televised about 23 years of Pirates baseball, Steelers football games, and a host of other activities.
KDKA even created the world's largest chorus line for an entry into the Guinness Book of World Records.
KDKA weatherman John Burnett was the lead dancer that day when 10,000 of you showed up to dance in the Evening Magazine chorus line.
You could say they were all dancing on the water.
The chorus line was probably the biggest promotion that Evening Magazine ever took on, and we did a lot of big promotions over the years, but this was for our 10th anniversary special, and the idea was to try and get into the Guinness Book of World Records and create a good promo, and at the same time, you know, some goodwill in the community.
You're going to say K and put the hat down on your right hip. K. Oh, I'm sorry, left hip, left hip.
I just remember turning around and looking behind me and thinking, you know, this is outside of a sporting event, a football or baseball game, this is the biggest crowd I've ever been in. It was something.
And I, stepping out side by side when evening comes, the world goes by for me and you. Together we can rendezvous and trip the light fantastic through the...
When you're in Three Rivers, you know you're in Three Rivers Stadium on the North Shore of Pittsburgh, and that's what they wanted that promo to say.
Thanks, John. That was a lot of fun.
I did not know John could dance like that.
Oh, he's got many, many talents. You know, there was another team that played at Three Rivers, of course, our Steelers. One of the more popular players was former linebacker Andy Russell.
Yeah, now he was never one of the speed demons on the team, so when he picked up a fumble and ran over 90 yards for a touchdown, that is something to remember. Here's Andy now to share one of his favorite Three Rivers memories.
My friends like to kid me about picking up the fumble and racing 93 yards for the touchdown, and you know, guys are jogging by me, and I'm running as fast as I can run, you know, and everybody had a lot of fun with that. Jack Ham thought they'd call it delay a game, and Mansfield claimed that NBC cut for a commercial and caught the end of the run, and, you know, but, you know, it is an NFL record.
What is?
The 93-yard fumble recovery.
Oh, it's still
the most elapsed time in any single play.
In '72, when we started winning, it got to be very tough for other teams to come in there and play and win. And they knew it. And, you would be going out on the field. You wouldn't even be on the field. You'd just be going through the tunnel to the field. You could hear the fans. I mean, it was they were screaming before you came out of that tunnel. And it was tough for other teams to come in there and try and beat us there.
Dick Hoke is right. It's the fans of the black and gold that give the teams at Three Rivers Stadium the real hometown advantage.
All three of Pittsburgh's professional teams wear black and gold, and even though one of them has never played at Three Rivers, they created some memorable history of their own on the turf at Three Rivers, passing the cup.
40,000 people called off sick from work or school in June of 1992. They all had the same affliction. Penguin fever. When the Pens captured the Stanley Cup that year, fans from our hometown turned out to help them celebrate at Three Rivers Stadium. Our heroes were humble as they paraded around in convertibles and took time to share their excitement with their fans.
I'm so happy I can play in Pittsburgh because we have a good team and we are the greatest fans. Thank you.
It was a great celebration for a team very worthy of praise.
Of course, now that Mario's back, maybe we'll have to hold the Stanley Cup celebration at one of the new stadiums.
Hopefully that will be this June.
Yeah.
Now, other events Three Rivers Stadium hosted were of a more serious nature. Here's Lynn Hayes Freeland to tell you more about the events at Three Rivers that were designed to praise the Lord.
Even religion found its way into Three Rivers Stadium. Billy Graham made Pittsburgh the home of his crusade often.
Billy Graham was a 5-day run, and what we did was we reduced the house down. But we hosted about 25,000 people every night for 5 nights.
And in July of 1996, Promise Keepers, an all-male ministry, held their national convention at Three River Stadium.
Promise Keepers, on the other hand, that was a 2-day event, and we had 60,000 people in there 2 days in a row. Gentlemen came from all over the world to be here. It was another exciting moment at Three River Stadium.
Thanks, Lynn. Now, another popular event that lots of people love to see were the monster truck rallies that sometimes almost filled the stadium.
One drew almost 50,000 people. So the monster truck rallies were pretty popular.
Yeah, somehow everyone got the idea that the rallies destroyed Three Rivers. Not so.
Here's Larry Richer with a look when Three Rivers was revving it up.
They've ripped and roared through Three River Stadium. They've shown off raw power and speed. They've drawn crowds up to 50,000 to gape at their magnificent strength. Monster trucks found a fitting home in the City of Steel, in a venue capable of holding a larger crowd of spectators than most indoor facilities. A lot of muscle was behind the preparation for these huge events. Crews came in days before to lay tarp over the turf and fill it with mud. And once all the fire and fury faded, cleanup crews worked for as many as 4 days to get the stadium back into top shape to host the next big event.
Thanks, Larry. Just like today's new stadiums, not everyone was happy about the building of Three Rivers Stadium.
There was a similar controversy over the building of Three Rivers as there has been over its demolition. Controversy over whether to build it, where to build it, and who should pay for it.
You'll see. Stacey Smith takes a trip back in history, how the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Three River Stadium may be 30 years old, but the idea for it was born 12 years before it actually opened. The year was 1958. Pittsburgh was undergoing its first renaissance, and a Civic Affairs Committee recommended to Mayor David Lawrence that Pittsburgh needed a modern, multi-purpose stadium to remain a first-class sports town. But it was 5 years before the Urban Redevelopment Authority began acquiring and clearing land in what was then a blighted industrial and commercial area on the north side. It took 4 more years before construction started, as people debated the design of the stadium. The original plan called for it to be open on one end. There was also a debate over the multi-million-dollar price tag. Critics said team owners, not the taxpayers, should foot the bill. That sounds familiar. Ground was finally broken on April the 25th, 1968. The Pirates would open their 1970 season in a new stadium. Or would they? There were labor troubles, and black contractors protested for their fair share of work. There were also financial problems, and it was July the 16th before the Pirates finally began playing in their new stadium.
Many of the same issues that plagued the construction of Three River Stadium are now dogging its demolition and the construction of PNC Park and the Steelers' new stadium.
When Mayor Sophie Masloff proposed a baseball-only park for the Pirates in 1991, she was roundly criticized. But over the next couple of years, the idea gained momentum, and as it did, the Steelers said they would need a new facility too. Once again, critics said team owners should put up the money. This time, it didn't take as long to begin building the new sports facilities, but the controversy over who would pay was more bitter. In 1997, voters rejected a regional sales tax. A year later, local officials lobbied in Harrisburg for a so-called Plan B that would have the state help pay the cost. But it was a tough fight in the legislature. A bill passed in the wee hours at the end of the legislative session in November of 1998 caused a furor because many lawmakers claimed they didn't realize what they were voting on. Governor Ridge refused to sign the bill, but he kept working on the issue. And in early 1999, after a threat from Kevin McClatchy to move the Pirates, the governor engineered and the legislature approved Plan C, a measure where the state would provide money for stadiums in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia.
Thanks, Stacey. Price tag, $320 million between the two stadiums, more than 10 times the original cost of Three Rivers. In April of '99, we broke ground for PNC Park. In June '99, for the Steelers Stadium, and the fate and the history of Three Rivers was sealed.
Well, tomorrow is the next to the last chapter in the history of Three Rivers. The final chapter? What happens to the debt that's left on the stadium?
A little later on, Paul Martino will have a story on the real final chapter.
You know, the Steelers are black and gold. The Pirates are black and gold. Well, one day, Steelers color announcer Myron Cope walked into the stadium after some interior decorators started to redesign it, and he couldn't believe what he saw. Here's Myron with Where's the black and gold?
An architectural firm, I believe it was, less than 10 years ago, they were commissioned to color code the various levels of Three Rivers Stadium. And I walk into the tunnel down in the bowels of the stadium, the tunnel off which are the Pirates' locker room, the Pirates' clubhouse, and the Steelers' dressing room. And this tunnel, which was black and gold before, is now the colors of the Dallas Cowboys, silver and blue, identical to the Dallas. What the heck is going on here? And I get the answer, well, they're color coding the different levels of the stadium. And so first thing I did is I yelled for a cameraman out at the station to get down there. And I did a piece standing there, you know, going nuts about what the heck with the blue blazers, it's the Dallas Cowboys. So it was repainted very quickly.
Say good morning.
People should know we'll never forget Three River Stadium and you know, the memories. As I say, you know, my probably three greatest memories was my first game, then the no-hitter game, Francisco Cordova and Ricardo Rincon, and Smith hitting the home run, and sellout crowd, and it was the most amazing baseball game I've ever seen in any ballpark. And the final memory for me was the last game that we played there. And having all those Pirates, ex-Pirates, come out on the field, and then at the end having Willie come out, it was a moment that I'll never forget. So there are a lot of emotions. You know, I don't want people to think we don't have any, because we do. It was a great run there, and we're excited about going over to PNC Park.
Pirates owner Kevin McClatchy is definitely looking forward to the season opener at PNC Park. And he's right, our memories will last forever.
Now, another event turned Three Rivers Stadium into the world's largest movie theater when Angels in the Outfield debuted there.
It was another exciting event that was sports-related, but not really sports.
KDKA Hometown Advantage sports reporter Paul Alexander takes a look at a movie premiere that was a night when the Three Rivers soared on the wings of angels.
In the summer of 1994, Pittsburgh turned into Tinseltown. Thousands of people packed Three Rivers Stadium for the debut of Disney's Angels in the Outfield. There was no red carpet at this premiere, only turf, which seemed fitting for a movie about a team of struggling baseball players. Crews worked endlessly to set up for the big event.
When we had the opportunity to be a Hollywood premiere site, it's something we just couldn't turn down. It's just too good for the city.
And when the credits rolled, 35,000 people went down in history as part of the world's largest movie premiere.
Thanks, Paul.
One of the things that many people find confusing about Three Rivers Stadium is the fact that although it cost about $35 million to build 30 years ago, we still owe about $48 million on it.
Here's Paul Martino to tell us why as we say goodbye in Can You Spare a Couple Million?
It's hard to imagine how we can owe more money on this stadium today than it cost to build 30 years ago. How did that happen? Well, over the years, the Stadium Authority kept refinancing the debt and borrowing against it. It's sort of like refinancing your house and using some of the money to put on an addition. The only difference is the Stadium Authority's not repaying that debt. You are.
When the Steelers played their first game at Three Rivers in 1970, the stadium was state-of-the-art.
This is the new era of the Steelers. Steelers 70. It's not like the old Steelers, believe me.
The price tag was something new, too. $35 million. And over the years, they've piled on more costs with new scoreboards, a jumbotron, and new turf twice. But the biggest addition to the stadium debt was the creative financing deal in 1985 that saved the team from being sold and moving out of town. It was a deal that had everyone confused, from the politicians to the public, even confusing for young reporters.
A lot of people simply don't understand yet how the deal is supposed to work. But now I'm 15 years older, possibly a little wiser, but I'm still confused about the stadium finances.
But seriously, here's the bottom line. In 1970, the Stadium Authority borrowed $35 million to build Three Rivers. In 1982, they borrowed another $6.8 million for stadium improvements. Then the big hit, $21 million in 1986 to help new owners bail out the Pirates. Add it all up, and there's still more than $26 million owed on stadium bonds. The county sales tax will pay off those bonds by 2010. The Stadium Authority still owes the city another $22 million for so-called operating grants that city taxpayers coughed up over the years. That money may never be paid back.
If you think you paid too much for Three Rivers Stadium, consider this. The price tag on 2 new stadiums here on the North Shore, $500 million. And a new arena for the Penguins can't be far behind. Paul Martino, KDKA TV News.
Thanks, Paul. Next up, KDKA Hometown Sports Advantage anchor John Steigerwald takes a look at the history of the Steelers at Three Rivers.
And later on, Dave Crawley will wrap up our show with an ode to Three Rivers. You can kiss it goodbye.
Right now, here's Steelers owner Dan Rooney with another Three Rivers memory.
You know, I remember when Franco first came, we were playing the Vikings, and he ran to an end run along the Vikings bench on the opposite side where we all were. And I knew after that run sort of convinced me that we were going to have a good team and we were going to go far because they were a great team. We ended up beating them, but that particular play was sort of the thing.
Trent Jilkin at G&G Fitness Report.
Picture of the defensive line, the defense, and it's coming from the viewpoint of the offense. And you could see the goal line, the goal post in the background and snow. And you can see all these guys in their posture before the team comes up. And there are a couple of guys talking around and one guy's on his knee and we're all there. And that's the feeling that I always have of Three Rivers Stadium, of just that picture and that stadium, and you can see the fans in the background, and you know they're waving.
But Joe Green, one of the people who made Three Rivers Stadium famous.
He is definitely one of the people that made opposing teams afraid to walk through the tunnels and onto the turf.
Well, KDKA Hometown Advantage sports anchor John Steigerwald saw most of the Steelers games at Three Rivers Stadium.
And he saw a lot of games before they moved into Three Rivers.
So he really has a unique perspective on the history of football at the stadium.
Here's John with a look at the 30-year history of the Steelers. Thanks, John. Well, the Steelers really defined what success meant in the NFL.
They were so successful that they forced the NFL to change the rules of the game.
After a drought in the 80s, a new coach instilled new life in the Steelers, culminating in an AFC championship.
Here's Bill Cowher with one of his fondest memories.
After the 1995 AFC championship game, when the ball fell incomplete for us, and up on the stage, accepting the award and looking around and seeing the people on the field and seeing the people that were still up in the last bleacher, really just how proud I was to be a part of this city, and having grown up here and to kind of still see maybe some of the kids who were kids when the 70s were now bringing their kids and kind of going through that same type of atmosphere, and that was very special.
You know H.J. Heinz Company for ketchup, pickles, and baby food. But did you know Heinz produces over 150 leading brands sold in...
Runners on first and second. Benson winds, kicks and deals. Griffey swings and scorches one into the gap of left center field. Giles giving chase, leaps. Oh, what a catch. Diving to his right to make a sliding grab in the grass. Who doesn't love baseball on the grass of PNC Park?
Real grass. Another reason why PNC Park is built for baseball.
Remarkable. He really tore into that grass.
It's not so much the stadium itself. It's just the people that you intermingled with over your 11 years there. And Jeannie Donatelli in the front office and other people that were very close to you. And, you know, even the ball guy that was sitting next to me, we used to have an older fellow that was sitting next to me. He must have been 70 years old, and he'd get the balls ready for the umpire. I mean, you had relationships with people, and, you know, every once in a while you could even stop along the rails signing autographs and talking to some people. And it was just, you know, it was everything it was supposed to be. It was a wonderful experience. You know, regret, yeah, sure. The only regret I have really is that we didn't finish the deal and get a World Series ring at Pittsburgh.
Jim Leyland coached the Pirates for almost 1/10 of their existence and had one of the longest tenures as manager.
All at Three Rivers Stadium. And tomorrow it comes tumbling down. With it, a lot of memories, but hopefully most of them can't be taken away from us.
So did you ever wonder how you go about imploding a stadium? Well, John Shumway did, and here he is to share it with you in our next story, Fire in the Hole.
Controlled demolition is the choreographer in this explosive dance that drops thousands of tons of concrete and steel into finite piles and spaces. It's an amazing mixture of science and art. The science is relatively simple.
The building wants to come down. Right now it wants to come down, but the columns are holding it up. The columns are resisting gravity that's been pulling on the structure since it was built in the 70s.
In other words, knock out the supports, and down it comes. But getting it to fall where they want it is the art. Doug Loiseau, the artist.
This area of the stadium is going to come out and go like this.
Loiseau's plan is carefully crafted to pull Three Rivers away from the Steelers' new stadium, a movement that's crucial since the Steelers' stadium is only 85 feet away.
If we break, you know, 5 windows in the stadium, all of a sudden, this isn't a successful job. You know, everybody will point and say, hey, you really failed.
Loiseau's plan will first drop the gates, B, D, and then C, down and outward. It will then rotate the areas between gates B and D inward. And finally, it will domino in the rest of the stadium from the gates to the areas closest to the new stadium.
By the timing of our explosives and the loading of explosives, we put forces on the stadium that it can't take.
But how do you make it fall where you want it? Well, Loiseau says in the area of the gates, CDI will blow the columns from the top to the bottom. Now, by blasting the outside columns just a fraction before the inside columns and blowing out more of the outside columns on the first and second levels, the building wants to fall towards where it's weakest, which in this case is the outside. Now, on the rest of the stadium, where those switchback walking ramps are located on the outside, the inside columns will get the worst of it.
If I want it to fall this way, if I drop this farther than this, which way is it going to go? Right. It's going to go in. And if I drop this a little bit before this one, it's going to go in.
Crucial to the falling process is making sure that that switchback ramp near the new Steelers Stadium falls away from the new facility.
But what we're doing is augmenting the structural integrity of the ramp by stringing steel center cable on, I think it's 30 different locations on the ramp. As the stadium falls, it's going to pull the ramp in.
Overall, the explosive damage is done in seconds. Gravity takes a bit longer.
Well, you'll hear explosions for about 9 seconds before anything falls. Then from 9 seconds to the, 18 or 20 seconds, things will be falling at different times and at different rates. Free fall's 32 feet per second.
So by 20 to 25 seconds...
Oh, it's down. It's gone.
Thanks, John. The most amazing thing about this implosion is that it's going to be visible from so many places around the point.
City authorities expect Point State Park, Mount Washington, and just about every other vantage point to be packed with people.
Well, coming up, we'll have some fond memories of Three Rivers Stadium and Dave Crawley's ode to Three Rivers, You Can Kiss It Goodbye.
Right now, Chuck Tanner has a memory about one of the most recognizable characters to ever walk on the turf at Three Rivers, the Chief, Art Rooney. Here's Chuck Tanner.
I think it was 1985. Art Rooney came down, and I believe his brother was with him that day. And he came and said, "How you doing, Chuck?" I said, "Fine, fine, everything's fine." And he told me stories how he bought the Steelers, and this was in the clubhouse. And then he said, Chuck, he was getting ready to leave. He says, "There's one thing I want to tell you." He says, "I've seen all the teams come through here since the stadium started." And he said, "I want to tell you one thing. And I tell you this from my heart." He said, you're the best manager I ever saw in Three Rivers Stadium. Now, you think that doesn't give you goosebumps? When he left, I sat in the office there, and I had goosebumps, and I was like in awe. I said, oh, and Mr. Rooney said that? And that's something that's always, I have had in my head and in my heart. And I'm saying, I can't believe that he said that. But I know he meant it when he said it. And I never felt so good in my life.
Want to bring your team to see the Penguins? Then the UPMC
Kiss It Goodbye is proudly brought to you by the H.J. Heinz Company. The employees of H.J. Heinz Company salute Three Rivers Stadium. By the Pittsburgh Penguins. For ticket information, just call 642-PENS. By McDonald's. We love to see you smile. By the Pittsburgh Pirates. Season ticket packages start at just $180. Call 1-800-BUY-BUCKS. And by G&G Fitness, Pittsburgh's #1 source for quality fitness equipment.
If I had to, could catalog a good 24 major events at Three Rivers that I've witnessed, including the Ricardo Rincon, Francisco Cordova no-hitter, 10-inning no-hitter. The script was perfect with Mark Smith hitting the home run at the bottom of the 10th inning, sellout crowd, fireworks night, and also add to that the fact that I felt I handled the home run call, the end of that game, the way I would have wanted to.
Lanny Fratteri has been calling Pirates games for over 25 years. At 81 home games a year times 25 years, plus the playoffs, that's over 2,000 games.
I trust your math. I'm sure Lanny has a lot of memories, and so do our next guests who look back at some of their fondest memories.
When I'd go to work, and when I'd go to play ball, I'd go down 79, and I'd see the green grass in Cranberry and Zionopol and Wexford. And I'd get to the stadium.
Really great memories. We apologize if we missed your favorite memory, but we only had an hour to cover 30 years of one of the most exciting periods in Pittsburgh history.
And so Three Rivers Stadium will become a part of history tomorrow when it crumbles into a pile of rubble. We remind you, join us for our in-depth hometown coverage tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m.
Thanks for sharing our memories this evening. And now we leave you with Dave Crowley's ode to Three Rivers and the Gunners' favorite home run call, "You Can Kiss It Goodbye."
In the city of steel, where Three Rivers meet, where visiting athletes went down to defeat, a stadium stands that has weathered the years. If you listen real close, you can still hear the cheers. There once was a time when she set us apart, when this aging arena was state of the art, with stories unmatched by the London Palladium. You name it, it happened at Three Rivers Stadium. Arriba, arriba, the cheers rumbled down. Roberto Clemente was toast of the town. His 3,000th hit was a powerful blast. How could we know that this was his last? The lumber company tore 'em asunder. Ninth inning lightning and bats that roared thunder. When homers were hit, Bob Prince led the cry. Listen real close.
You can kiss it goodbye.
Goodbye, Elton John. Goodbye, Billy Joel. Goodbye to the legends of old rock and roll. For Promise Keepers, a spiritual leap, now this stadium has its own promise to keep. Demolition? The Steelers invented the name. Old friend will leave us, but memories will last. In the city of steel where three rivers meet, when the stadium crumbles to dust in the street, great moments will still bring a tear to the eye. Farewell, old friend.
You can kiss it goodbye.